How will Hull City run under Sergej Jakirović and Acun Ilıcalı? We'll go through that, plus all of the breaking transfer news surrounding Hull City, including an update on Louis Barry that doesn't seem that good. Hello there and welcome back to the HullCityFanCentral YouTube channel, where today we'll be going through all of that surrounding Hull City. Of course, there was the first press conference with the new Hull City boss and also Acun's fan Q&A last night. So we have a real idea on what the future could be for Hull City for this season, but possibly for seasons down the line, as this partnership with Sergej Jakirović and Acun Ilıcalı hopefully will last a decent chunk of time, and we'll go through what the plan could be for their partnership. But first of all, we'll start off with a bit of upsetting transfer news surrounding Louis Barry. So of course, reported yesterday that Hull City were very close to confirming the signing of Louis Barry, and that there was a big progression over the weekend. Well, since then, a £3.5 million bid had been placed from Hull City to Aston Villa for the permanent signing of Louis Barry. And since then, well, it's not been working out too well, as reported out earlier on today. There is a doubt in the affordability concerns for Hull City. Talks continue, but Hull City struggling to meet the overall package, including the £3.5 million fee plus 50% sell-on fee, and also Louis Barry's salary. There is also interest mounting from elsewhere. Positive note coming out from that Hull City and Aston Villa are also working together to try and resolve the issue. I presume Louis Barry wants to come to Hull City, and that's why Aston Villa are currently taking a keen hand in it. Also with the fact that how well we did with Jane and Philogene, I suppose Aston Villa would be kind of welcoming to the fact of Hull City taking on a very similar deal, in that Hull City will probably only have the player for a year, even though it's a permanent deal, and then the sell-on fee, there'll be a buyback clause or something like that was in the Philogene contract, and that would sort of happen very similar in the Louis Barry deal. But details are getting ironed out. It's not confirmed yet. There's been a bit of a kink in the works, but I'm sure that it'll still come off. Of course, I'll keep you up to date on any other news surrounding this one, but a little bit of a downer, but a little bit of a positive one at the same time surrounding Louis Barry. So there's been no other real pressing transfer news, other than there was an impromptu transfer meeting in the middle of the fan Q&A. We'll get to that in a bit, but I mean, it just states of the mental aspects of this football club, and especially under Acun Ilıcalı, you don't know what could happen next, really, could you? So let's push on. So we'll go into Hull Live part one article stating a bit about the press conference. Of course, Baz Cooper was there, and he sort of outlooked some of his takes on things and what was said at the presser. So we'll go through that now. If Hull City players were under any illusion about what Sergej Jakirović thought about last season's close shave, his blunt assessment would have very cleared away those fears. He was very blunt about this one, and I think that's one thing that he sort of needs to be, certainly coming into this Hull City job, and maybe for the his full stay as Hull City manager, is the blunt assessments, the blunt manner about how he goes about things, because we've had it too many times in the past where fans have turned on managers, not necessarily because of the product on the field, but more because about what they're saying post-match, where they're not taking accountability for what's happening. They're going, yeah, we're being competitive. We're seeing competitive thrown around quite a few times, and we're seeing the things that we want to see, but it's just not happening. Well, it sounds like Sergej Jakirović is going to be very blunt about everything in every post-match. I can presume there'll be a 3-1 win for the Tigers, and Sergej Jakirović will go, nah, it wasn't good enough. We could have done better. I think he's going to be that sort of manager where he'll say no holds barred and really solidified down. He was thankful of his first job in England. That's one of his big things coming out of yesterday. Put a thing out on social media saying thanks for the opportunity to have my first job in England. So in a nutshell, for that opening bit, Jakirović pulled apart Tim Volta and Ruben Sayers' setup, and perhaps that level of honesty is what was needed to move forward. As I said, I think it's probably the best case scenario. Even when asked if there were any positives to take from last season, despite the nature of the final day survival, he could offer little. Acun Ilıcalı, who flanked him, tried to interject and suggest the question what was about any positives. I know, he replied, before going on to say the team had a decent enough October and November. Even that's a stretch given it was defeats in November to Oxford United and Sheffield Wednesday that saw the back of Volta. Those fans who trekked up and down the country at all times, the day and the night, will probably be lapping up that level of honesty. City survived on goal difference. It was more luck than judgment, if we're being honest. In essence, they were just about level par with the team who finished third bottom and survived by the skin of their teeth. To do anything other than try and claim it was a bad season would be pulling the wool over the eyes of those who watched it week in, week out. Very, very blunt, isn't it? Very, very blunt. We'll progress on. They were a team lacking in quality, personality, and of confidence for the majority of the season. A lack of effort may not have been an accusation you could throw their way, but everything Jakirović said was on the money, and saying that means we can all move forward and look to the future. The job facing him is a big one. He's got to take a team that avoided relegation on goal difference to one capable of challenge for at least the top 10. And we know if you're in the top 10 come the final month of the season, you're probably within touching distance of making the top 6. That's all that for now. Can't wait. To begin with, Jakirović must change the approach. He wants a hard-working team of grafters, one that wins the right play of attractive football, operating with intensity, energy, and ability to win the ball in the midfield before carving out chances that are taken by those capable of taking them. So things are looking better under Jakirović. First of all, one of his big things he came out from this presser yesterday was that he's not going to have any specific style of play, and he's going to be adaptable. He's going to adapt to what the games need, what the players need, and the players will adapt to what he needs. Very adaptability, or very adaptability is not quite grammatically correct, but very adaptable it is. So it will be very adaptable. He'll make sure the players are very adaptable and they can change up on what they need per game. Of course, every game in the Championship is different. You could come into one game against Southampton and you could be looking to kind of see it out and try and grab a cheeky goal in the 90th minute, and then you come up against a team like Wrexham, where you're just going to try and have a slugging fest of who can get the most goals in. So each game will be different, and I think that's what Jakirović has sort of promised to the City fans. Not so much promise, because he was very clear that he's not trying to promise anything, but that's sort of one thing that I gathered away from it, was that the adaptability is going to be a key thing for him this season, going to be a key thing for the squad this season, and the fact that he can change things at a drop of a hat, which is a big thing we've not seen by too many City managers in the past. The best of done it. Steve Bruce changed it up, and that's what kept the City squads going fresh throughout his time. Probably one of the most successful, if not the most successful manager in Hull City history. So that's really what is needed, and I think it's duly needed at this point in Hull City's 21-year history. In some respects, the modern manager's decision to stick with their style has hampered so many of them. It's so refreshing to hear a manager talk less about their philosophy and more about doing the things that make the team effective. There we are, making the team effective. He's not hammering down saying, I've been working on this style of play for 19 years like Tim Volta did. He's not going, well, I want to try out this new style of play, a little bit similar how to Ruben Sayers and Rosini did. Of course, it worked a bit for Rosini, and we're seeing the fruit of his labours now over in France. But to come in fresh with this mindset of going, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win each game. Each game, that's where you pick up the points. Not a course of a season, but each game matters. And I think that's going to be the big deciding factor on what Jakirović can sort of do for Hull City this upcoming season. There was little fanfare, even less fuss, just calm, calculated exterior that exudes from the Bosnian. A Steenley determination to succeed. No grand gestures or claims about anything. The early signs are positive, but now he must get to work and deliver the results. That's a big thing. He's saying all these things, well, not really saying too much in the way of, I'm going to do this, we're going to be by this position by this point in the season, we're going to have this many players, and we're going to have this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. He's not saying any of that. He's saying, what needs to be said. Of course, the product will come on the field, but I have good faith in the product on the field will be that to a good enough standard for the championship and good enough standard for this squad. So that's what Jakirović had to say. What did Acun have to say in the fan Q&A? So let's rack through some of the highlights laid out from the fan Q&A. Where do we start off with? We start off with Acun coming in and he's talking about the experience he's gained over the past 3 years. And yes, we've made some mistakes, he says. I didn't feel like we were happy as a board last season. He says Liam Rosini and Ruben Sayers will go on to have successful careers elsewhere. Now he says Jakirović will be successful and has been passed elsewhere. I spoke to 30 people about him, ex-players, owners, directors. I didn't hear one bad thing said about him. There we are. It's the positive words coming out from behind the scenes. Acun saying 30 plus people have spoken to him saying how good Jakirović is, and we've seen that in his record with what he's done not only at certain clubs but throughout his managerial career. He's had a successful managerial career that spanned quite a few years now. His success story has made us believe in him. Explains that the job he did in Kayserispor is a fantastic with the transfer ban. Yeah, he signed no players and still managed to drag them out of relegation. And during his time there, I believe that he was they gained the 4th most points in the Turkish Super League, with Fenerbahce, Besiktas and Galatasaray being the 3 that gained more points. That's quite a big thing to say that he didn't sign a single player and that team were in the relegation zone, almost looking certain to be relegated when he joined them. He made them safe with 5 weeks to go when it looked like they would be relegated. He added on to just further my point there. In the home games, we have been suffering for the past 3 years. I'm tired of the away fans singing, I want to put them away from me. It's hurting me. So I think he's sort of really wanting to get the home crowd going. Saying that he wants to see his team attack more at home rather than seeing the opposition attack at the MKM Stadium. Wants to see more from his side in front of their own supporters. So it seems like there might be a different sort of, not style of play, of course, as we said, Jakirović not bogged down on the styles of play as a whole, but the players might be looking to go about things a bit differently at home to compared on the road, which is really what you need. It's what every club does. I mean, bar Hull City seems to put the best product out away from home. Today I learned the word secret in the press conference. Sometimes there are secrets that have to be kept. Adding on that from some, I presume, about some transfer news. It doesn't say I play this way and that's what it is. He's more flexible than that. Feeding on from Jakirović. Talking about Jared Dublin and Martin Hodge in their involvement in the process. Hodge is asked to stand up and looks as awkward as you can imagine. Acun is continuing to explain why he's brought Jakirović in and how his style of play is what he wants. The ability not to be focused on one style, but keen to adapt. There's that word again. Adapt. Acun added, I'm very optimistic, he says, as he's talking about the season under Sergej Jakirović. As am I, Acun, as am I. Acun is talking about the squad, says central defence area is fine. We know that we brought in Semir Jai and hold down what we've got already. It's a very good position at the moment. Says he wants a left back, a number 8 box-to-box midfielder. They're possibly in the pipeline already. And he goes on to the striker. We failed in the striker position. I think we'll bring in 2 good strikers. Jokes about saying one is better than the other. We're trying to bring in 2 strikers, 1 left back, a number 8 and a winger. Well, we know pretty much about all of that, of course. Friggin, who I'll add on a bit about that. Reports coming out saying that the £6 million bid has been rejected from Hull City on that front, as I think Westerlo wants £7 million, which I can't see too many problems with that. Of course, it's just £1 million different, and the reported £10 million fee that Westerlo wanted originally, well, 7 million doesn't sound too bad in that sort of grand scheme of things. If we add these players, we'll have a top 10 squad. After that, it's up to the coach, as Acun added. Talking about Andy Dawson, we gave him new responsibility. He'll be responsible for bridging the gap between the academy and the first team. So it sounds like Andy Dawson will be taking on a bit of a new role, and it seems like this might be a good sort of new role for him. Of course, Andy Dawson being sort of the lurking man in the background, sort of just been there, maybe taking over the team when there's been no manager in charge, or backroom staff to say about that. So Andy Dawson has done a fantastic job, and it's nice to see that he's been rewarded with a bit of a new promising role where he can maybe have a bit more of his own freedom to bridge that gap between the academy and the first team, which is desperately needed, as I said about in my video the other week, where I was talking about what is the future of Hull City. There wasn't too much of a bridge between that academy and that first team, was there? Talking about Fenerbahce again and saying how he has found the last year really difficult. I love Fenerbahce, but my dream is to take Hull City to higher places. I'm very happy and fully focused. Your love always motivates me. Of course, that's coming off the back of Acun no longer being involved in sort of a big directorial manner at Fenerbahce. I'm trying to make the squad stronger and stronger. I think you will think this is the best squad. I'm not talking about loan players. I think this year we'll have the best squad with our own players. And then we move on to some of the questions. Question about style of play. Can you press all season at high intensity was asked. You need the squad, Acun replies. You need the right squad. We started the season with 3 wingers. 2 of them were injured. You need to have squad depth. The championship is tough. We know about this last season. We had so many big players go down with injuries so early on that ruled them out for the entire season, which just made it more of a calamitous season. I'm sure Sergej will have a plan B, C, D, and E, on and on and on. Next question about the club's finances and the continued discussion in the press. Acun just clearly states, we don't have any financial problems. It is true that we're spending too much money. It is true. I have passion. I have the passion. Sometimes it happens that you can have little problems, some little technical problems. If we want to sell the club, I cannot claim all my money back. I would have to write it off. A bad scenario is if I can't pay the wages. To be safe, you don't go into the minuses too much. You can sell some players. If you want to do that too much, then you go 15th, 16th, fall down the league. If my businesses don't go well, I can reduce the amount of money I'm putting in. So he seems pretty much sort of set on that financial wise. It's all going well. Just the reports behind the scenes are nothing more than just reports. Next question, telling Acun Alzate's value is 5 to 6 million. If we get the value for any player, we can't let them go. We can let them go, sorry. We can let them go. If they want to go, they can go. He will never stand in their way. We've known about this since Acun's taken over. He's not going to stand in the way of any player. My parents always told me to look after other people and think about how other people feel. It is in their life. I cannot stand in a player's way if they get a good offer to go elsewhere. Acun's example talks again about Greaves and Philogene, how he did not want to stand in their way when they said they both wanted to leave and obviously go on to the Premier League. Of course, Greaves and Philogene now back in the Championship with Ipswich at the moment. I don't say that I am normal. I can't say that I don't make mistakes, Acun's saying there. And then talking about how Sky Sports are going to be following him for the next year to chart his life as Hull City's owner. So a bit of an interesting one there, Sky Sports, getting the behind the scenes look once again with Acun at Hull City. Next question. Have you offered considering adding a set-piece coach? We've been really poor defending and attacking from them. Acun then says, defending, I don't agree. We're bad at scoring. Set pieces are very important in this league. Talking about Sergej's 3 coaches being together for 8 years and said he could not come without all 3 of them. So I doubt that there is sort of talks about putting a new one in. Now talking about offering an experienced coach to Sergej, Dean Holden is coming in and says how much he likes him. There we are, Dean Holden coming in. We talked about this the last week. Sergej says Dean is a fighter, having a scrap on the pitch during their spell in Turkey. So about the access for disabled supporters was the next question. Acun says his staff will follow up on it. Next question, straight to the point, which was, How close are we signing to Ollie McBurney? It's a secret, he jokes, but he says he will get a good striker, having failed before. Next question was about Sergej's performance at Kayserispor, boss at as Kayserispor's boss at Fenerbahce, and they drew 3-3. They played fantastically, but he says it wasn't that result which made his mind up. So interesting that it's not just about what Acun has seen, it's about what he knows about it. Next question about promoting City via TV channel. The club do have Tiger Plus. Acun is saying how he's tried to buy the rights to show City in Turkey, but says he hasn't been able to get permission, presumably due to the EFL, Sky sponsors, all that sort of stuff. Next question, a fan has raised the lack of atmosphere at the MKM Stadium. Acun says he understands why, given the home form in recent seasons. Acun says, if we play well, it'll be loud. Moving on to the next question. Fan says, we didn't sign a good striker last season. How can we trust you to get one this summer? In the striking position, we couldn't do what we wanted, but with Hughes, Miller, Bellumi and Philogene, we signed these players. We made some good transfers. We failed in some. You are right to have doubts about the striking position. My job is to make you happy, and I will do it. I swear that I'm going to bring in a good striker. So many bad things happened, and I don't think that will happen again. 2 minutes after the window closed, we found a striker, but we ran out of time. We know about that one from the previous transfer windows. Acun then progressed on to say that he likes Kyle Joseph. He's a good player. We believe in him. Moving on, about the next question about Walton Street and Louis Barry. Acun refuses to be drawn on a Louis Barry deal. Says the club are still working on the Walton Street project. And then we go on to the phone call, the impromptu talk about the a transfer meeting within the sort of Q&A as Acun gets a phone call that he has to take. So goes on for a bit, and then they progress on. Acun is asked about players wanting to leave. Says 2 or 3 want to go. I don't want to use loans early. A couple of loans early, maybe to save the rest until the end. So Acun's all key about doing that loan to the end. Next question, interesting one about the Hull City ladies. Says it will be a decision of the board and it will be analysed. We can't do everything. We don't have the power. We're fully focused on the team for now, but I don't want to say no for the future. And then the next one about the state of the training ground, big one here. I agree it needs work, but I don't think it's as bad as you think. It is cosy, the pitches are good, and we've upgraded inside. It certainly seems like there's been a bit of an upgrade from the photos taken yesterday. So it moves on to say in the future we can improve. Talk about the Roma link, it didn't go through as we expected. Talking about English football TV blackout rules. Different questions that sort of didn't get too much. Sponsorships, this was a big one here. Sponsors came and go. We have so many sponsors. They're very valuable. They help increase our spending limits. Since we came in, we have 5 times more sponsors since we came in. And then the final question is on Zambrano and Giles' future. Zambrano, we want him. He's a very good player. He loves us and is happy. We stood with him during his hard times. He appreciates this. I think we'll be together. Giles, it is his decision. He needs to have the perfect team to perform at the top level. I don't know how it will go. I don't want to move on too many. I want the coaches to see the players. So there we go. Final question there. And then Acun sort of divulges about sort of the successes of the past season, about how sort of some players came, some players went, and sort of going on about sort of this fan interaction and all sorts that he wants to get going. So that was all that was said at the Q&A. Not as crazy as Q&As have been in the past for Acun and Hull City. We've certainly seen that past seasons where he's been slagging off the keepers and fire alarms and all sorts. So yeah, very bit of a tamer one, but I think that's sort of stating where Hull City are at the moment under Sergej Jakirović. As I say, it's moving forwards in the right direction. Certainly this summer feels miles better than we did last summer. Acun's more involved. We have a manager who seemingly pretty much 90% of the City fans can back at the moment, which we maybe couldn't say about Tim Walter last season. And the transfer business is getting done and it's sounding promising. So Hull City under Jakirović and Ilıcalı, well, it sounds not too bad at the moment. Of course, time will tell about that one. We'll wait to see about more transfer news, more fixtures, how the team will perform. But of course, stay tuned on here on the HullCityFanCentral YouTube channel, as I'll keep you today on everything Hull City, all the transfer news, all the news behind the scenes from Acun, Sergej, plus so much more like that. We're second day into pre-season, so the ball is rolling and rolling fast for Hull City. So I'll see you in the next video. Up the Tigers!